Can you see? Can you really see? There was a story about a man who was blind and he was asking for help. He was asking for a miracle to help him see. His name was Bartimaeus. This is a biblical story. And as he was calling out to Jesus, help me, save me, I want to see, he was called through the crowd. Initially, when he was calling out, the world around him, the people around him were telling him to keep quiet, not to disturb the master. But he shouted even louder. And when he got the attention of the master, he was called to see him and was asked, what can I do for you? He said, I want to see. And he was given the gift of sight. The reason why I bring this is when I was reading this particular passage, something dawned on me. This man could not see what was going on. However, he could hear. He used his other senses to perceive that someone great was around. Someone who was able to probably help him from his situation. There was also the fact that he was not happy with where he was and he wanted something more. He wanted something bigger, something maybe better. The third thing I noticed about this man was he spoke up. When he spoke, he was calling out for help. He was calling out for attention. And even though he was being shunned, told to be quiet by those around him, he kept going. That persistence was the fourth thing I noticed about this man. And the fifth thing was when he was asked, when he finally got audience with Jesus and he was able to say, okay, so what do you want? You've been calling for attention. He gave a clear request. Now, I'm not here to do biblical studies with you, but this story really hit me because I've heard the story many times before. I've read the story many times before, but this time around, it had a new meaning for me. Can we really see? And so today I'm going to talk a little bit more about learning to see. The ability to see goes beyond using our physical eyes to pick up objects that are transmitted into a concept in our brains. But I will go beyond that to how we perceive things using the different aspects of our being. From a medical point of view, from a scientific point of view, I talk about seeing from the point where the first thing that happens when you want to see something, an object, is to look. Your eyes are the main structure on your face. You have two, and you can focus. Now, within that eye or your eyes, you have got some microscopic things that people don't know much about, except they've studied it. And with the eye, you have got some cells that pick up the different colors and the different textures, almost like a pixelated image. Your eye serves as a template. You know, the way the camera works. The way the eye works is similar to how the camera works because the camera was probably built on the model of the eye. And when we perceive this information, it goes through pathways. I would not go through the optic nerve and the rest of that, but it gets to your retina, which transmits it to your brain. And then you know that what you're looking at is a tree. You know that what you're looking at is a blue shirt. However, There are some times when we look at objects and we look at things and we really can't see. There are some times when we look at objects and we cannot fully appreciate every dimension of it. And of course, when we talk about looking and seeing, we think about looking at something from a two-dimensional point of view and a three-dimensional point of view. And when we talk about the three-dimensional, we're looking more holistically. So this is where I will transition from talking medical to talking more holistic. We are human beings and we are made up of body, spirit, mind, and soul. And when we talk about our body, of course, we have got our physical eyes to see. When we talk about our soul, it's the seat of our emotions. When someone says to you, I see you, and not from a physical, my eye perceives you, from a soul point of view, it is, I can perceive how you feel and can empathize with you in that situation. From a mind point of view, it is, I understand what you're saying, what you're going through, what is happening. So I see, the ability to really see is not just to observe what is happening with your eyes, but it is to understand with your mind and also to pick up or perceive the feelings or emotions that are connected to this situation, to this person, or to the thing that you are observing. Learning to see takes practice. I remember when I was in my 4th year of medical school and we had our rotation through ophthalmology. So ophthalmology is the study of the eyes. And when you talk about the study of the eyes, we have people who need input from eye specialists from when they are very young, maybe when they were born, and some people when they are really old. There was this concept that was described to us where someone had the two eyes in place, a child was born, but then one of them was not particularly as powerful as the other eye. So one eye was working fine, working normally, but then the other eye was called the lazy eye, and it wasn't functioning as well. Now, you know that with children, you might not be able to pick up on what they can see because of course communication barriers can be in place. However, one of the management modalities or the treatment modalities that was adopted was padding that's covering the eye that was said to be stronger. So the eye that was the so-called good eye, I'm not saying because the other one is bad, but because it was, the eye is functioning optimally. So they use a pad to cover that eye several times a day. And the idea was to force the lazy eye or the eye that was not performing as it should to function as it should, to pick up on the stimuli and process it by passing all that stimuli to the brain, and then you'll be able to see. The reason why I bring this description is there are sometimes we need to train our eyes to see things better. But for us to be able to do that, we need to recognize that there is an issue with our vision or our sight. Now, I'm not using them interchangeably because if I go into more detail, vision and sight are two different things. But for this purpose, for the purpose of this session, I'm going to talk about it from the ability to see, the ability to perceive. So In this situation where somebody has got the awareness that their ability to see is not optimal, that step leads them to the next, which is to seek for help. You remember the story I told you about that man, Bartimaeus, who was blind and was calling, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." He knew he was blind. He knew he needed help. What did he do? He called for help. He didn't sit down there and say, "Well, I can't see, I am blind, I'm just going to beg the rest of my life," and feel sorry for himself. He spoke up. He called for help. So when you get to that stage of self-awareness that I think I may not be able to see things properly, you need to call for help. From a physical point of view, of course, if you can't see, definitely have your eyes checked. We've got opticians that would look for refractive errors. We've got eye specialists like ophthalmologists who do a little bit more technical parts of eye care. But then we also have people who can see what you cannot see. From a holistic point of view, whenever you're faced with a situation that you can't see beyond what, of course, you can see at that moment, you might need another person, a trusted friend, a family member, an accountability partner, a coach, someone who sees what you cannot see. And that is only put forward when you ask for help. There is a saying where I come from. It says, if you don't ask for help, if you keep quiet when you're going through difficulty, everybody will help you to keep quiet. What that means is, if you go through difficulty and you don't ask for help, nobody is going to come out and say, "So do you need help?" So you need, the onus lies on you to speak up and ask for help. Some people have got this great fortune where someone cares about them so much that they would notice that they're not looking good, they're not feeling good, and would ask, "Do you need help?" That is a beautiful thing to have. But remember, it's not like that all the time. So your job, once you notice that you are needing the ability to see, you need to speak up and ask for help. When you speak up and ask for help, make sure that you are getting your communication clear. Because the moment you are noticed, the moment you are identified, the moment it's revealed to you that there is someone who is there to help you, for example, a family member or even a stranger, you need to be able to communicate effectively what your needs are. And this brings me back to the story I told at the beginning. Bartimaeus, the moment he was called that, well, the master would like to see you, he got there hurriedly. And the moment he was asked by Jesus, "What do you want me to do for you?" he stated it in one sentence, "That I may see again." So we need to gain clarity on what we want. All that comes in that state of self-awareness. When you're able to state clearly what you want to yourself, you will be able to state it to others. What do you want to see? Do you want to see opportunities? Do you want to see things differently? And this will take me to the part where we talked about the mind. When you talk about seeing things differently from the mind point of view, I'll bring in a bit of mindfulness. Because when you see things differently, You are seeking understanding. You are seeking to see different people's opinions, perspectives, and analyze it from that point, not from a critical point, but from a learning point. No two people are the same. Even twins are different. Your thoughts about a particular issue would differ from mine. But my ability to understand where you're coming from with your argument or your position is so important, and it's something that we should encourage. And that's why when we have apps like this, platforms like this, where people can come up and say, well, this is my own perspective, and someone can come up and say, and this is my perspective, it would not be a situation of I am right and you're wrong. It will be a situation of how can we understand each other better? How can I see what you can see? And how can you see what I see? Stephen Covey said this very amazing statement. He says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. When you are communicating with people and you seek first to understand them, to see things from their point of view, to see where they're coming from, to see how similar you are with those people, rather than see the differences, you will be more able to communicate, to engage, to be a part of a harmonious conversation. As a mom, I know how important it is to actually have that ability to see things from a child's point of view. When my son was very young, we put him on the high chair and give him food to eat. Because of course, while we would like everything to be neat and tidy, if you continue to feed your child, at a point the child is 5, 6, 7 years old, they can't feed themselves, that would not be very good. However, when you give them the opportunity to feed themselves, guess what they do? The food lands on the floor, is scattered all over the place, gets on the forehead, gets on the shoulder, gets on the clothes. It's almost as though there was an explosion that happened. And that exactly is one thing that many moms, many parents tend to witness on a daily basis. In a situation whereby maybe you're going out, or maybe you've dressed the child up, okay, you've had your bath, we're going to go out very soon, but you quickly eat and I'll do one or two things. And then the child comes back looking like there was an explosion of food right all over him. That can be frustrating. However, while you are stating your point of view, which is very valid, you need to see things from this child's point of view as well. The child was probably having fun. The child was exploring what the food, maybe that spaghetti, would look like on the floor, on the spread all over his face, maybe put as a mustachio, like my children always say, mustachio, or maybe put on their cheeks. What is the other person's point of view? What's that perspective that you need to learn to see? When you learn to see things from other people's points of view, you learn to understand better. And once that starts from home, it unfolds into our different organizations, school, church, religious houses, places of work, the government, the world. There is so much this divisiveness that comes when we always want to see things from our own point of view. There is an amazing lady, her name is Silk. I was in the clubhouse room with her, and I think probably that was the first time I ever heard her speak. And she said, many people have got sight, but they haven't got vision. This lady is, I think she's blind. And when she mentioned that, it just hit me. I was like, oh my goodness, people have got sight, but they haven't got vision. When you seek to understand people, when you seek to see things from other people's points of view, it shows that you have got a vision. Why? Because you're not looking at just now. You're looking at the future. You're looking at a place where maybe world peace or harmony or unity or collective good. You're not thinking of, right now, I'm happy with you. Yeah, that's where it ends. I'm not happy with you. We'll stop talking. That's where it ends. You're thinking ahead. That is the role of each and every one of us. We are all visionaries. We are all leaders in our own right, in our own different capacities, in our many roles. We need to learn how to see things from other people's point of view, how to see things differently. Someone told me a story about a man. He was a farmer and he had this tractor. And every day he would start up the tractor and go on his farm. After some time, there was a track in the ground where the tractor went. And as he did this, he kept going through, and that was the usual route for him. But what happened was, somebody then suggested, while we were talking about this man and his tractor, that when we do things repetitively, we could actually get ourselves into a rut. It's almost like routine, which is great, but that rut can be the stagnation of our growth. That rut can be the thing that limits us. So what if we decide to see things and do things differently? Take a 5-degree turn, take a 10-degree turn, that 1-degree turn from that usual thing we do. It's so important that we think about how we can do things differently. I know that in this room, I've spoken about the things I've learned from many wonderful people. There was this particular thing in the practice suggested by Jim Quick. And in this practice, he says, when you want to exercise your brain, you need to do some very different things. For example, if you are right-handed and you're always brushing your teeth with your right hand, practice brushing your teeth with your left hand. That helps you to form new neural pathways in your brain. That helps you to have a different way of looking at the way you brush your teeth. I would probably brush my teeth with my right hand, and it's just automatic, all the way, front, back, left, right, and it probably takes a shorter time. However, the moment I started to brush my teeth with my left hand, I noticed that there were certain ways I needed to turn my hand and put the brush at an angle to my teeth so that it would get cleaned properly. That got me thinking, oh my goodness, how important it is for us to occasionally do things that are different from what we're used to, so that we can see things differently and be able to understand each other, be able to empathize with each other, and be able to watch each other grow. So today, as we're talking about learning to see, we can learn to see by knowing that we do need an improvement in our vision. We do need to understand things differently and ask for help. There is help everywhere. Everyone has got a level of expertise, knowledge, skills, experience. And you can tap into that wisdom, that knowledge, that fount of abundance in the world. All you just need to do is to ask. While we have talked about seeing with our eyes and seeing with our mind, I'm going to move on to seeing with our souls. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the soul is the seat of our emotions. The soul is where our emotions come to life. Now we have got different emotions, so beautifully packed together. We've got love, we've got joy, we've got happiness, we've got fear, we've got anger, we've got disgust, we've got hopelessness, we've got apathy, and the list goes on. And so, when we think about all the emotions we have, every other person around us has similar emotions. There are some things that would happen to us that will make us super happy. But if it happens to the person next to us, it might make them really sad. And the other person might be very angry. So recognizing that the emotions we exhibit, other people have the ability to exhibit as well. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when we are exhibiting or expressing our emotions, can we see or perceive what the other people are expressing as well? I say this because part of emotional intelligence, which is an area that I find very fascinating, is the ability not only to be self-aware, but to have situational awareness. And that is looking at what's happening around you. So the people around you, the things around you, the circumstances around you. These are the ability to pick up on the expressions around you is so important. It helps with communication. It helps with negotiation. It helps with relationships. Speaking about relationships, whenever we talk about relationships, people think maybe between two people. But I want to start the talk of relationships with yourself. The relationship you have with yourself is what gets translated to people around you. So if you can see yourself, if you can feel yourself, and you have such great deep self-love, guess what happens? You feel empowered. You feel more than able to be. You feel full of love. And that is what you would reflect and express to people around you. I remember when I was younger, there was a lady who used to come to make my hair. And this lady, she came every Sunday. So it's a Sunday today. So when I was younger, she would come every Sunday and she would make my hair. And it was mainly cornrows. So she would make the cornrows and also that for my sister as well. There was a particular day when a particular week that she did not turn up. And we had already kind of loosened our hairs and washed it and gotten ready for her to come and make the hair. And she didn't turn up. So we needed to look for an alternative, because if you know about the way the African hair can be, it's quite thick and can be a little difficult to kind of throw into a ponytail. And so while we were thinking about that, we had the opportunity to go to someone else to have our hair made. Now, this person who made my hair did not know the type of styles I liked, did not know much about me, but just made my hair because, oh, well, your hair needs to be made. And she made it. And when she made the hair, I looked at it and I did not like it. However, as a child, growing up, you sometimes are told you need to express gratitude all the time. I know that was something that I was told. And I thought about, if I don't like this, I can't loosen it until next week. So I just have to stick with it for 1 week. So while I was stood in front of the mirror, looking at myself, my reflection, I felt like I looked horrible. I felt like this is a horrible hairstyle. I don't like this. And I was frowning. And then my brother comes up to me and he says, Junie, why are you staring at yourself as if you're about to punch yourself in the mirror? And as he said that, I burst into laughter. And when I burst into laughter, I saw that the smile on my face transformed the look in the reflection to something beautiful. That was the first time I noticed that. And then I laughed and he left, and I thought to myself, what if I smile again? What if I do that laughter thing again that my brother just brought up within me? And I did it. And I saw that, oh my goodness, this person, even though the hairstyle wasn't great, it did not affect me adversely because I was smiling. And so I did it again and again. And I liked what I saw. Guess what I did? I decided that week, because of that hairstyle I had that wasn't particularly great, I was going to smile all the time. And so it was. That whole week, I started smiling. I saw things differently. And as I smiled, guess what happened to me? My mood improved. And the following week, when, of course, the person who normally comes to make our hair at home came, she made the hair that, of course, suits me so well. I got back to school and got back to my normal life, and I was still smiling. And that was me, a new person reborn, because I chose to look at something differently. I chose to shift my emotion from someone who was angry, who was upset that my expectations were not met, to someone who wanted to try something different. So that is how sometimes we can look at a situation. We can look at the way we feel as a result of maybe a circumstance, a challenge, or something that has been done to us or for us, and then we can shift our emotion. We can change that expression to something that empowers us. We can look at it differently. And when we do look at it differently, we see it differently. So that is one way by which you can change the way you feel from a place of sadness to a place of hope or joy. And that is also the way you can see where someone is. Someone who has hurt you, someone who has been mean to you, somebody who has abused you. And you, even though in that moment you might be afraid, or you might be angry or upset, or feel so much disgust within you, you can look at it differently. And when you look at this differently, you might be able to see that they are suffering too. Yes, their action or inaction made you suffer, but they are suffering. It is said, hurt people hurt people. And while I'm not going to condone people hurting others, when you look at it differently, when you look at the ability to interact or respond to someone differently, because you can see that they are hurting, because you can see that they are suffering, you open within you one of those superpowers that I talk about. And that is the power of compassion. Compassion allows you to empathize with someone else, to empathize with yourself. It allows you to see that person. So even right now, while you are watching me or hearing me, I may not know you, but you might just feel that by virtue of the energy that is coming from my voice or from what you're perceiving, you feel understood. You feel this person empathizes with what I am going through, even if she doesn't know. You feel a connection. That is what learning to see from a soul point of view is. It's something we all need in our society. It's something that we all need in our world. So much this divisiveness has caused wars, have caused corruption, have caused disagreements, breakdown in relationships, and the impact is profound. We have financial difficulties, mental health problems, collapse of economies. We have social problems. We have children being hurt. We have children struggling. We have vulnerable people being taken advantage of, all because we are not seeing things from where others are. We are not empathizing with people. And so, I know we have talked about learning to see physically, learning to see with the eye of your mind, learning to see with the eye of your soul. I'm going to now end with this, the fourth path, which is I'm going through the different aspects of our being. So right now, this is seen from the eye of your spirit. I love this quote that says, we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. Spirituality is not religiosity. So even though I might be Christian, you might be Muslim, he might be Hindu, whatever practice of religion you have is different from your level of spirituality. Some people don't believe in the existence of God, but they feel spiritual. In the situation whereby we talk about spirituality and we talk about being able to see from a spiritual point of view, we recognize that there is a force around us. There is some guidance from an unseen being. I call that being God. My ability to be present and to see things from the eye of God, to open myself up that things might be revealed unto me, is such a gift. When I started this session, I told you the story about this blind man, Bartimaeus, a biblical story. This man was asked by the time he reached the master, Jesus, who said, "What can I do for you?" He said, that I might see. He asked very clearly, that I might see. And the moment it was granted unto him, Jesus says to him, "Go in peace. Your faith has saved you." Now, I've read this scripture many times before, but that was another thing that stood out for me, because many times when Jesus was doing miracles, all over, he would say things like, your faith has made you well, your faith has saved you, and your faith has made you whole. But this particular time, he said, your faith has saved you. Now, I am not a theologian, but this has kind of sparked something within me to think, wow, I would like to know a little bit more about this man, Bartimaeus. What is it that was happening in his life that he needed saving from? So while, of course, I can't go back over 2,000 years ago and find out about Bartimaeus, I put myself in a position of Bartimaeus. What is that thing that I need saving from? What is that thing that you need saving from? There are things that we cannot see. And when we reach out spiritually, ask for help, and that comes through prayer, meditation, reading of spiritual texts. These moments, we get that connection. We get that position whereby we can have that salvation, that healing, that transformation. And that is where we learn to see from a spiritual point of view. For those who know the Lord's Prayer, it starts with the Our Father, and there is a part there which says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Now, I share this in my book because it was something that really hit me. In my book, Every Mom is a Supermom, which you can see in my display picture, I talk about breaking free from overwhelm and exhaustion. And in the section where I talked about forgiveness, I brought up this prayer. This is a prayer that I say every day. But there was a time in my life where that section I just said to you, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, I deliberately removed it. I would say something like, forgive us our trespasses. Lead us not into temptation. I would skip it altogether. After some time, I started to modify it. Now, this is not something I'm proud about, but it's something that I did. Why? Because I found it very difficult to forgive. I felt by forgiving, I am giving those people permission to continue doing the nasty things that they were doing, to continue to be mean, to get away with what they did. I thought that forgiveness was something that I wasn't ready to give anyone, especially them, most especially them. But then, by saying this prayer, I was more or less cursing myself, because if I did not forgive them, God will not forgive me. And of course, I needed God's forgiveness, so I would omit that part. But you know what happened? I decided, right, I'm tired of skipping this part of the Lord's Prayer. I'm tired of modifying the Lord's Prayer. So what do? Especially since I'm suffering now, because I am holding on to the anger. I decided to find a way to let it go. I know there's someone listening to me who might have been hurt by somebody or some people, present or past, that might be holding on, might be struggling to forgive. I want to tell you that you're not alone. This happens to many of us. But you see, when you forgive, you are giving yourself a gift. And when I spoke earlier about learning to see from the soul point of view, when you learn to see from a soul point of view to these people who have hurt you, you have compassion for them because you know they were suffering. You know they are suffering. And that compassion would help you to not only forgive yourself for putting yourself in that position where they could be mean or abusive or hurtful, but they could also be put in a position whereby you can forgive them for that action they did. You're not saying it's okay. You're putting yourself in a place of benevolence. You're putting your place in a place of joy, in a higher vibration of energy and emotional strength. When you open yourself and you forgive, it's like a whole load is lifted from your shoulders. At that point, what you feel is joy. At that point, you start to experience something you probably have never felt before. Then you start to feel the downloads from the spiritual realm. You feel God speaking to you. You hear those messages. You feel that as though you can see things before they happen. Things begin to be revealed to you. Then you truly become a visionary because now your eyes can see. Not your physical eyes, but your spiritual eyes as well. That is learning to see. Learning to see physically with your eyes, that's awesome. Learning to see things differently and from the perspective of others from your mind, that is awesome. Learning to see how people are feeling, empathizing with them, that is beautiful. But learning to see with your spiritual eyes, that is phenomenal. So you see how we have navigated through learning to see from body, mind, soul, and spirit. That is what makes you a human being. That is the holistic point of view. That is what helps you daily to strive to be a better version of yourself. It doesn't put you in competition with others, but it puts you in competition with yourself. Yesterday was Duni 2.0. Today is Duni version 3.0. Come on, tomorrow, better version. This is the way we should view ourselves. This is the way we should see ourselves on our life journey together. How are we seeing ourselves? How are we improving? How are we growing? When we don't grow, we die. And that's the reason why we need to grow. Growing requires giving and having the grace to receive. At this point, I'm going to turn my attention to moms because, of course, I'm a mom empowerment coach. So it's my mission to empower moms. Well, I'm going to pour into moms right now. I know there are probably people that are not moms listening to me and watching. However, for the moms out there, I want you to think about this. I want you to look at yourself as that vessel that while you are giving, you need to remember to fill yourself up. It's good to give. They always say things like givers never lack. When you give, you receive. It's beautiful, but you need to allow yourself to receive. Many of us do not know how to receive compliments, gifts, or even recognition. I've seen quite a few of my friends. Now, most of my friends are male, but I have some female friends. And you would say, oh, I love your dress. It's beautiful. They say, oh, I just got it the other day from maybe a shop. And they mentioned maybe a shop. We have this store in the UK, Primark. Now, it's not one of the high-end shops. So some people have started to remake the name. So it's not Primark, they call it Primarni. So for those who are based in the UK, you know Primarni. So Primark is not a high-end shop. It's almost like maybe a Target, like those for those who are in the US. So you get things at very reduced prices, but they're good quality as well. So when you say this lady was told, oh gosh, I love your dress. Oh yeah, I got it at Primark. And I thought to myself, I'm not sure she received that compliment. It's a beautiful dress. Accept the compliment. Receive it. Breathe into it. If you are asked, where did you get it from? Then you can volunteer the information. I got it from Primark or Primarni. We need to learn as moms, as women, to accept, to receive. It doesn't make us less. We are just giving. So now this is another bit that I would like to share with moms. This, by receiving graciously, you are giving other people the opportunity to be blessed. I'm going to say that again. By receiving graciously, you are giving other people the opportunity to be blessed. So please don't be selfish. You can't be the giver all the time. You need to allow people to give. So because you love giving, give people the opportunity to give to you by you receiving graciously. I hope this message has helped someone today. I hope this message has blessed someone today. I know quite a lot has been discussed with regards to learning to see clearly. I would not say my vision is 2020 yet, but I am striving every day to make it even clearer. From a physical point of view, there are some things you can do. Now, I'm going to start putting on my medical doctor's hat now. Okay, I'm putting my medical hat now. From a medical point of view, make sure that you reduce your screen time, take regular screen breaks so that you're not putting a strain on your eyes. If you see that you're struggling with your vision in any way, have your eyes checked by a specialist, maybe an optician. And if you're having any more significant problems, an eye specialist will be a good option for you. The other thing you would want to do is managing what you eat. It has been found that foods that are rich in beta-carotene, things like carrots, okay, and retinol, vitamin A, are very good for your eyes. Consume them. So that is from a physical point of view, learning to see clearly. So I'm putting my doctor's hat back down and I'm putting my well-being coach hat back on. So holistically, from a mind point of view, how you learn to see things from other people's point of view, see things differently. Practice mindfulness. Practice mindful breathing. most importantly, when you're faced with any challenge. If someone says something to you that might serve as a trigger, do not respond immediately. Stop, take a deep breath in, hold, and breathe out. My grandmother used to do something. She would say, when somebody offends you, take a sip of water and hold it in your mouth. Don't swallow it, hold it in your mouth. And when you have calmed down, then you swallow. I see a lot of wisdom in that. Because when you say things, when you are upset or you're angry, you are reactive. And being reactive isn't a great place to be. But when you take the time to either practice the mindful breathing, or you want to take my grandmother's advice, which is to put water in your mouth and not swallow until you've calmed down, that helps you to calm that survival mind of yours and puts you in a place where you can use the reasoning part of your brain to see it from a different perspective. What if this person is right? What if there is some sense in what this person is saying to me? Those are practices from learning to see clearly from a mind point of view, mindfulness practice. So from the soul point of view, learning to see clearly from your soul, from the point of view of your emotions, I would like to share with you the gift that I always practice every now and again, and that is the body scan. I know some people talk about it from a mindfulness point of view, but I love the body scan because it makes me more aware of how I feel and what is going on. I sometimes ask myself, especially when I'm doing a scan, almost like a heart scan, what I do with that is I put my hand, I close my eyes. If I'm sat in a comfortable position, doesn't have to be really quiet. I know with moms, you can hardly get a place that is totally quiet. I just sit down. I put my hand on my heart and I call myself, Junie, how are you today? And that heart scan is me finding out how I'm feeling. It's me communing with me about how I feel, improving my awareness of my emotions. And when I see people, even when I'm sending messages, I usually go with, how are you? I want to know how you are. That practice helps you to see clearly yourself from your soul point of view and from the soul of other people. That's the practice I adopt. And I'd like to share that with you if you don't already do that. And from the spiritual point of view, learning to see clearly, I cannot emphasize the role of meditation and prayer enough. Prayer and meditation lifts you. It really does. Practice it. Prayer is not just about you talking and talking and talking. And so, Father, I would like to do this. No. Sometimes you listen. Sometimes you just are there to receive. And there's so much that can be said to you. I hope this has helped someone. And you've been able to get maybe some notes from the practices. Of course, you can watch this again. You can listen to this again. Feel free to share it with other people who you know will benefit from it. I am Dr. Duni. I'm a mom empowerment coach, a family doctor, and a best-selling author of the book Every Mom is a Supermom: Breaking Free from Overwhelm and Exhaustion. This book is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. So if you're a mom or you know a mom, you can get it for them because it has some of the things I've mentioned today.